Yeah, we're back. Sort of. Maybe? Hmm. There we go. Hey everyone, Robert's using the toilet, so I'm just here right now dancing. Dancing under the spooky witch head that never shows up in the movie about witches. Yeah, his camera feed looks so much better now. You can see all of his cool little knickknacks. It's pretty good. But yeah, I'm excited. He's talking about Monster Musume. He hinted that it was going to be something we both like, and that's a franchise that we have come to enjoy. Sexy monster girls doing sexy monster girl things. What's not to love? I'll tell you what, it's the ones that are made to look like bugs because they have like the face of a bug person, which is kind of weird, but then they have like bug hands and bug feet, but like from the elbows in and then the knees up, they have like lady torsos of humans, and that is disturbing and Kafka-esque and not sexy at all, which I know for a fact is the intention of the series, is to make sexy monster girls. So body horror is not my jam, and that's why we should vote for Bernie Sanders.
Back online?
Yep, we're good.
You're doing little bits to make me think you were having a weird conversation while I was gone?
I was just telling everyone about Monster Musume and what it is. And about how in the newest chapter they show a bug person, and it actually made me very uncomfortable. Because the girl had like bug hands and feet, but then like a lady torso.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. That looked gross to me. Just have a full like carapissy body. Don't go from like hard insect bits to soft lady parts.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that just was like, oh, that looks weird. Those designs and then the designs for their vampires make me uncomfortable. But that's just me. But anyway, so this you have a character action game about sexy monster girls?
About what?
Sexy monster girls?
Well, so that's like... The game is not strictly sexy monster girls, but I guess more of like monster people of various shapes and sizes. But
Gotcha.
I liked the like... That was my starting point, was in Monster Musume. And then I kind of grew a bit from there. But yeah, so my idea was to have a spectacle fighter where you have kind of like a diverse cast of characters who you unlock as you go through the game, and they're all like various sorts of monster people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like you could have some pretty fun spectacle fighting with monster people going on. I don't know where the best part to start digging in is, but
Wherever it looks the tastiest, just fill me with your ideas.
okay. So my idea is the game is set in this kind of Halloween-y world, where you have all sorts of different like fun. It's like a Halloween world where different areas, you know, there's like haunted houses and castles, and also like a snake people village.
Snake people village.
Some pyramids.
Wouldn't really call those Halloween-y, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of like gets away from Halloween-y just to like include some broader monster people ideas, I guess.
Gotcha.
But it would also have some more like blatantly Halloween-y areas. My thought was that, so I guess maybe to set up the way that it kind of unfolds, I should describe the enemies a little bit first.
Go right ahead.
So my thought was the enemies are these beings who are made of kind of like pure light, but then they wear armor that's made out of like the bones of people, various things that they've killed. Because the pure light creatures are sort of a org-like force where they're going to other places and converting the life force of the creatures there into their own energy, and then they like use the bones of those creatures for their armor. So the game would start with a kind of like mad scientist lady, and she has a big Frankenstein, and you could choose to play as either mad scientist lady or the Frankenstein. And she's chilling out at her mad scientist castle, and then the like crazy light things start invading the castle. And so like the opening of the game, you'd be clearing out the castle and then starting a barrier to protect it, and the castle would kind of serve as your hub world for the rest of the game. But then after that, you're starting to explore other areas of the world to get the light creatures out of there. And as you're going, you're meeting the like different monster people who live in those areas, and some of them become other unlockable characters who you could play as.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'd had a thought of a couple of different snake people. That's like a policewoman, and then her son who's like a cadet. And then I liked, this is definitely the most derivative of Monster Musume character, but I like the kind of like dominatrix-y spider. And had thought a sort of fun foil for that character could be if she had a mummy who was kind of like her sub, which admittedly is like playing a little bit on Gamagura. Gamaguri, the guy from Kill La Kill.
Gamaguri.
Yeah, because he has that thing where like he takes damage and then is like in the big bandagey suit and then does it. So I thought he could maybe have some moves that were based around like taking damage and then returning it. And then other characters, I liked the idea of a succubus character named Scubbus, who is an incompetent succubus.
Okay.
So they like, part of my idea for them is that they kind of like gender shift depending on who they're talking to, but like all of their attempts to seduce people just end up going horribly wrong. But then that's more like character / plot stuff, and then they, you know, have like succubusy weapons, and then
what are the succubusy weapons?
Like a whip or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was just like, what is a weapon that defines a succubus?
I will say this, like, a lot of this has been like from that core idea, then just trying to like build it and make it my own. So I'm not like 100% attached to pretty much anything here. It's kind of like the dressing on a core idea that I feel like is fun. So yeah. And then I hadn't really thought too much through other characters, but a couple that I thought that could be fun were like a flower man or a ghost girl, maybe a vampire in there somewhere. But yeah.
Flower man. All right. Is that where you? Okay, I wasn't sure if you were stopping there or not.
Yeah, I think we have at least hit like most of the ideas that I came up with in kind of the broadest strokes. And I don't know. Usually, you like to jump in at some point and start asking me pointed questions that I hadn't thought about. That
Oh, I was gonna be like, so what is the USP of this game?
the what?
The unique selling point.
I guess the unique selling point in my mind is that you get to play as, like, I don't think I've played a really any game, but especially not a spectacle fighter where you're playing as like monster characters. And I feel like some of the monster people could definitely fight in ways that would be like sort of unique versions of combat. Like with the Lamias, I don't think I've ever played as like a snake person, and there's some fun stuff you can do with that, like, you know, various tail slams, or you know, you can have kind of like, I'm gonna call them ults, even though that's just like bigger or more magic moves that are kind of themed around the monster characters.
I mean, it would just be the Muso move.
The Muso move?
Like Dynasty Warriors.
Ah.
Because that's what Dynasty Warriors is called in Japan, is Muso Warriors.
Gotcha.
Where it's just the big screen clearing attack of everyone get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, when you say Flower Man, what do you mean by Flower Man? I'm curious. Like, is it a man who has just a big sunflower head?
So,
or is it a male version of, like, the Alrune?
I was thinking like a male version of the Alrune, yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind
then. You sounded more excited for the other version.
Because I was just picturing, like, this super jacked Flower Man who was just like, ha ha ha!
That could be fun, too. I mean, like I said, I don't have my heart set on any of these ideas, so that could be fun.
So is it just like light attack, heavy attack, dodge?
Dodge and then a Muso move.
Alright.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, I don't really have that many questions about it. That was just, it's a fun little idea for a thing.
Yeah.
Spectacle fighters don't, well, character action games don't tend to be like, as far as I've seen for the ones I've played, I have not played Bayonetta 2, I haven't played Nier Automata yet. The ones I have played don't really seem to be overly sophisticated outside of how do I build combos, so one thing that's normally done in all the ones I've played is that you have different like weapons and sub-weapons sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Is when you're playing as a single character, is this, since there are so many characters, to me this feels like a game where you aren't ever playing as one character. You have like the dude you're controlling, and then like you basically Marvel versus Capcom hit a trigger button and then switch out another character.
I think my thought had been more along the lines of, like, it's a game that's broken up into levels. So, like, when you start a level, you can pick who you want to play as.
Okay, well, then I guess my question becomes, like, what keeps your what keeps your combat, like, flowing with different stuff? Is, like, God of War, you switch weapons. Devil May Cry, you switch weapons. All the spectacle fightery things that I've played, there's just a variety of like stuff. So where does your variety come from in the moment-to-moment gameplay?
I mean, I guess if you're saying like as you're playing you want to be able to switch, then like this idea doesn't necessarily have it, at least not yet. That's probably something that you could build in. I guess like the way that I usually play spectacle fighters, I tend to pick like a couple of weapons that I like, and sometimes I'll switch back and forth between those, but I don't know, maybe I've just been playing them wrong this whole time.
I mean, usually like you get the highest score by incorporating the most different moves from different weapon sets into a thing. So I think for people who are super hardcore into it, they'd want a lot of depth to the combat. So unless you made like 20 super deep characters, which seems impossible to do well, yeah, you'd probably have to have something that you can be like, air launch to something else. Like my brain could see, like, you're the Frankenstein guy, and I don't know how you interpret him as a character, but my brain sees him as a grappler or a big dude. So he would clearly have some sort of launcher or like vert lift maneuver where you go and knock someone into the air, which then if you're playing as like a chaser character, you would then be able to launch up and follow them. But say you have another character who's like a harpy, after you launch that dude into the air, you switch to harpy person, and then she can start air juggling people into something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, like, I don't know. I'm not good at thinking through combat systems, so I hadn't really thought that through as much.
Because otherwise, if you just have a character who just has their light attack and heavy attack combos, it would probably get stale pretty fast, unless the levels are really short and you're switching a lot. But even then, someone's like, okay, I am Frankenstein. His bread and butter is over heavy light dash, and there's just nothing anyone can fucking do about it. Or it does the most damage per less button presses, so since I don't have any other options, this is what I'm going to do to go through the whole boss fight. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Okay. You just keep looking like you're about to say, but, and then, nah. Because the other thing I've seen with those sort of games, more beat 'em up, is you either switch the gear you are using, which changes like what moves can be done, so you'll have stuff like that, or you have your character knows multiple styles of fighting and you switch between your styles while you're doing that. Like Devil May Cry 3 does both of those things and gets violently complicated in a really good way if you're into that system. But like Yakuza, Yakuza 0, you just switch between your 4 styles.
I guess, like, one thing that I had thought of a little bit when I was coming up with some of these characters was the idea of, like, characters being sort of paired or being good foils to one another. And I had thought at one point about the idea of, like, maybe anytime you go out, you have, like, 2 characters with you. So it could be a thing where, like, at any point in a level, you can switch between those 2 characters. And I don't know if part of me wants to say, like, you could just mix and match any that you want, but the other is, like, maybe you can build more interesting dynamics if, like, characters are always paired with another certain character.
There's always a danger of always using always, because then I can never change. Unless it's, for your first run through, you have to use these pairings, and then if you New Game Plus, you can use whoever you want whenever you want. So it's just like, whoa!
Well, so, like, the advantage of having 2 characters who are always paired is, like, if Spider-Girl and Mummy Guy are always together, then you can build some kind of, like, big finisher moves that utilize both of them at the same time. Whereas if you're always able to mix and match, then you either have to have finishers where it's like only one character doing the finisher, or the finishers have to be built in a way where, like, they're interchangeable for all of the characters, which makes them feel less unique and special.
I think the problem on that is the other way, is that if you're always having to play these 2 people, you have less overall moveset variety, aside from your Muso move, which is less important than using these combos, because anytime you have a big finisher, which I think as games have gone, they've moved away from sort of like you hit triangle and then they take gameplay away from you to do something, like fucking Kingdom Hearts, is you're going to be doing your ground bread and butter stuff way more often than you're going to be doing the big partner finish move. So is it worth sacrificing moment-to-moment gameplay for individual spurts of, like, momentary, like, oh, it's really cool they made this animation where the Mummy Man and the Snake Girl wrap their web in wrapping together to make the enemies double dutch themselves to death versus being able to build combos with specific other things.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess for like the way that I play these games, I kind of like the unique finishers a lot more. Like, one of the things that I really love about the Bayonetta games is that there are a lot of really cool finishers that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind the fact that it's like an animation that kind of takes gameplay away from you, because it's just like fun to get to be in a place where there's some crazy big thing going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, I play Spectacle Fighters because I enjoy the spectacle of it. I'm not about, like, building the biggest combos and doing that kind of thing, frankly, because it's too hard for me. So, like, if you're asking me to, like, build a Spectacle Fighter for a different way of enjoying Spectacle Fighters, like, I don't know how to like think through that, because I'm thinking of the ideas like of what I would want in it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say. It's just I don't know which. I feel that the one with better gameplay would probably be a more safe bet for pitching games to people than the other one, but that's just, if you wanted to make a game that does look cool, you could just do like a turn-based action game and then just have the combos play out of there. But a game about over-the-top fighting, I guess in my opinion, should have over-the-top fighting all the time with variety. Because I've played some bad beat-em-ups that are just monotonously repetitive, and then you fill a special bar, and then you go, let's do it, and then the guy Azuna drops the dude through 8 levels of hell and then lands at the bottom, and I'm like, cool, but I want to get back to the punching, because eventually you only have a budget for so many different cutscenes for finishers that you're going to loop through them enough that they stop being special. So unless your game just had amazing art and character, I think the majority of people would then probably be like, oh man, the charm of that wears off fast. But
yeah. I mean, I do feel like for me the appeal of this game is potentially in the like art and character. Like, the characters should be fun and have personality, and like the levels should be fun, and each one should feel kind of different because they're kind of different, like Halloween areas, you know? Like, that for me is where the appeal is, I guess. But
I can't tell you you're wrong, because that's like what you said, it's your thing. It's just, to me, as someone who plays games for the gameplay, I could see myself getting bored of that rather.
yeah.
But the idea overall sounds cool. So what is like the moment-to-moment gameplay like? Is it just moving from arena to arena for fighting? Like, what else are you doing, if anything else?
Yeah, I feel like that's the main thing. There could definitely be some like explorable or collectible things, but I hadn't thought through too much in terms of like other gameplay that might be going on. But I mean, maybe there are some fun ideas for other stuff that could be going on too.
Because to me, especially knowing you, it sounds like it's a game that calls out for their... Man, have you played Persona yet?
I haven't finished. Well, I've started 5 a couple of times, but I haven't finished it.
But a game where there's big moments of downtime, like between levels, because you said the castle's like a hub town thing or something, where you get to run around that as whatever character you choose to play, and then you get to interact with your other characters as that character and like do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Just, I don't know. Have fun conversations between the snake man and the snake mom, and then they're like, but then you can go and talk to Flower Man as Snake Cop Boy, and he's just like, hey, remember to listen to your mom and whatnot because flowers. And you could have like, because to me, if I am hijacking your idea and going, no, Robert, you have to be able to play as everyone all the time if you wanted to, is it kind of creates the persona thing of the idea of building social links. Is you spend time with certain people, and then that unlocks more stuff for when that person is part of your strike team going out in that combination. Yeah. So it gives you reason to like hang out and pet your friends, so that way it's like, oh man, now I have this person's bonus for when they're a support rather than a whatever. That was my thought. That way you can get into that pseudo dating game sweet mind that people are like, oh man, waifu battles.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. And you could even have like, maybe there's various reasons to go back to certain levels to do like submissions that you get from the other characters and that kind of thing.
Because I think if I had my way the most, I think the best result would be a middle ground of the two. Not necessarily always having the whole roster to pick from, because then if you really like the combination of Frankenstein, Bird Person, Snake Girl, you have very little reason to change. Like, that was a big problem with Agents of Mayhem, is that once you found the 3 that you liked, who gave an absolute shit about the other ones unless you're some kind of completionist weirdo, is you have parts where it's of your roster of, say, like, 15 people, only these 6 are available. Build a team out of these 6. So you might be like, oh, I haven't really played any of these other 3 characters. Because you could kind of do a thing like Overwatch if you wanted, where all of your characters are broken up into categories.
Yeah, that could work.
So that way you know, okay, I haven't played Frankenstein Man, but I know he's a grappler. And I know this other person is a support lift, so maybe I just want 3 grapplers. Who knows if that would even be good. Nothing can stop 3 Mike Haggers. He's too strong. That is now the extent of my input.
Yeah.
Doing cool stuff on your phone.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting texted to do a favor this weekend, so I'm trying to, like, sort that out.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. I guess what I've just discovered is that everyone but me is leaving the house for the weekend, so they want me to take care of the dogs. Which, like, I don't mind feeding the dogs, but I do not like to let them out because Cedar can escape from the yard, and I literally cannot catch her if she does. And that, I don't know, so it's like...
Wait, how is she escaping from the yard?
She jumps over the fence sometimes. And yeah, that's like, I don't know, I guess I'll figure something out. I don't want the responsibility for capturing her if she escapes because I can't do it, you know.
That is an understandable anxiety to have. As long as you just tell them, hey, if she gets out, she's gone. You have put this on me, then there's nothing for you to worry about other than guilt you put on yourself for the inevitable happening. So if I was in your place, that's what I'd tell him. And then if Cedar's gone, maybe she'll find a new life. Maybe she'll go to school and start a family. You'll always have Winslow there to lick your feet and sell you uncut heroin and start the Illuminati and do other things you're not really listening to me say.
Sorry, I'm just trying to craft this text in the right way that's like, I'll do what I can.
Just say that.
Yeah.
You just wrote the best, most concise text right there. I'll do what I can, no promises. And then end with a fuck you and then a winky face emoji. It's the strongest debate ender.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know. We had like a moment that I felt guilty about earlier today because as I was like driving to work, someone else had let them into the backyard, and Cedar escaped just this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I see her in my car, and I'm like, I can't catch her, but I texted Jaredon and Zach because they were home, and then like everyone was like, you didn't go after her, what the fuck? And I'm just like, how is that my responsibility? You know, like, I don't know. I get that perspective of like, I would like to be able to help, but I literally can't catch her, and like that is not a responsibility that I ever would take if you gave me the option. So
I mean, like, what was she supposed to do? Just jump into your car?
yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, if I try and chase her when she runs away, she just runs faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to get her to come to me. Yeah.
I mean, the answer to that was, oh shit, did she become my dog when I wasn't here? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, the next time that happens and she gets out, you'd be like, oh yeah, I spotted Cedar as I was driving in. I picked her up and then I took her to the shelter where people will be more responsible with her care. And then you just do sick donuts out in your parking lot. Welcome to Good Dog Taken Care of with Bad People.
Sorry. Okay, I sent off my text, so I should be less distracted now until I get the next response. But yeah.
But I had a little idea for one.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to hear it.
And it's based off something I really enjoy, professional wrestling. And the idea as like a motif is bringing professional wrestling into a medieval fantasy environment in the game Knockout Knight, where you play as a knight who doesn't use weapons and just uses his wits and sweet wrestling moves. And how the style of the game would work is it's kind of standard beat 'em up stuff, and how I guess the variety answer would be for mine is you change between 3 or 4 styles of wrestling, whether it's like heavy grappling, lucha libre, technical wrestling. Those are like the real big 3. And you have like a fairy with you, sort of like Puck from Berserk, and what she can do is change into different elements of wrestling, like paraphernalia. Like you can grapple and throw a dude, and then she'll turn into turnbuckles magically and bounce him back at you so that you can beat him up. Or she'll turn into a turnbuckle you can then jump off of in the middle of a combo, or to leap off of to get higher to grab enemies to Izuna drop them out of the sky. And I know this game will never happen as I desire it to happen, because what I would love is to get actual wrestlers from the WWE to then voice prospective characters, where you would have John Cena, who's like the ultimate face of the company regardless of how much everyone hates him, because people just hate John Cena for some reason, is he would be like your knight in shining armor like character that your character works with. But then you'd have other characters like Randy Orton, who's known for being treacherous, and he'd be like a black knight. But then you'd have Vince McMahon, the GM of the WWE. Actually, he's not the GM. It's just the owner of the WWE. He'd play God. It would be like a beat-em-up wrestling version of like what Brutal Legend did for heavy metal rock, where you just take celebrity of them and put them into the game as different things.
Yeah.
So that was that.
I can see that being pretty fun.
But the other, and I didn't really have a lot past that in terms of like super raw idea, because I knew this would never happen the way I wanted to. Because I also, like, I would originally had the idea, it was pre-Hulk Hogan getting banished from the WWE for being a racist, and he was going to be in it as a main character. But now the WWE doesn't talk about Hulk Hogan anymore. But the idea I guess I had more stuff for was sort of a fusion of a spectacle fighter character action game and then a Dark Souls clone, with a heavy dose of God Hand built in, where I guess it would also be somewhat similar to how I imagine Absolver plays, but I didn't play Absolver because I heard it wasn't very good. But it would be sort of a slower paced spectacle fighter that's based on hand-to-hand crunchy combat without the use of weapons. And what you would do is, instead of picking up weapons, your character would pick up moves along the way, and you can slot them out of different commands that your character is possible of. And as far as like weird plot goes, I didn't realize how much I was ripping off Bloodborne until I thought about it. Is like, you're in basically a physical location that is affected by the sleeping state of a number of like superior beings that are just like physically sleeping on this like on mountains that you can see like off in the distance. And as different things affect them, it affects the world you're living in. So you might be like running, and then all of a sudden all of the streets a la Inception start coming up, and you can like run up the side of a wall. So it would look very weird. But I tried to think about less of the spectacle fightery USP and more of something to put a spin on a Dark Souls thing. Is that Dark Souls games really all sort of follow the same thing. It's about using stamina management and punishing you for making really aggressive, inefficient moves. And then when you die, you wake up at whatever death thing it is with all the enemies respawned, and then you have whatever number of health items just returned to you. Is an idea for a thing that I think people would either say this makes the game too easy or it's stupid, CJ, and you should kill yourself. So both very valid points, but the idea was as you fight, aside from like either your health or stamina, you accrue a pool of a third resource, which I haven't thought of like a cool, clever marketing name for it, but it's things that you can cash in on for when you're going to die. Like, one would be, like, a very basic one is when you die, when you respawn for like a short period of time after you respawn, you just have increased damage. But then another one, which could play into having cool little mini cutscenes when it happens, is you set it so that if this enemy is killing you, you mark them, so that way when you die and respawn, this enemy is debuffed. So it would be like, while it's killing you, your guy like grabs them and pulls them really close, and he's like, I'm coming back for you, and then you die. And then when you come back to life, that enemy that killed you last time now has like 25% less defense. So it would be a way for people who are really stuck fighting a certain enemy to like have a chance at it. And if you wanted, it could be a thing where like the more resource you have, the bigger the debuff is. So say someone like you who, like you've admitted you've had trouble in those sort of games, but you're willing to grind to get stronger.
Yeah.
Is like, there's a mini boss you can't beat. You have like one pip of this resource. You're like, you know what, whatever, I'll just run over here and start clearing the whole rest of the map of the Scrubbo enemies to build up that resource, so that when I fight this guy again, if I die, instead of only doing a 10% debuff, he'll have like a 55% debuff, so that second time I get to fight him, I'll have a better chance. I've never seen that in a game. It might, in practice, end up being a stupid mechanic. But
I could get into that, though.
I also sort of picture this character as being like a huge weirdo. So he doesn't mind dying in the game. Like, he knows it's going to be happening, so when it is dying, he gets weird about it. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna be back for you, you watch your ass! And then he dies and then repops at the bonfire, and he's like, I'm gonna go kick that guy's ass! Woo!
Yeah, I actually like that idea a lot. Maybe just because it does cater to people like me who fundamentally suck. Like the idea that instead of having to just slam my head against a boss a billion times, like, you can go and build up that resource and know that like there's a reward for you if you don't die, because then you get to keep that resource. But if you do, then you know like you're gonna have a much better shot your next time around.
Because the balancing act for that I've had trouble with, that I think I have a solution that works kind of okay, is for a hardcore gamer who's like, I don't want the game to be easier, that resource isn't very useful. So what my thought was is, the more you have of that resource, I was thinking like it actually has like a small proponent thing where you actually start getting a debuff of some kind. So it's more likely you're going to die, but the more likely you are to die, you get to use that debuff thing. But if you manage to beat the boss or a big enemy while having like a full tier of that resource, you can pour all of that resource like into a killing move. That when that happens, you get way more XP and better loot and stuff. So for the people who are like, I don't care about being able to be able to do more damage on an enemy, you'd be like, oh, but if I get really good at not dying, I'll get more rewards. But I was thinking it could also just be a thing that if you don't want it, you could just bring it to a bonfire and just dump it out of your character. Because you're like, I don't want this debuff and I don't plan to use this stuff, so I'm just going to ignore this. Or wear a piece of equipment that just means you cannot collect this resource. But because I think God Hand did it pretty well, and I haven't played Remember Me, but I heard Remember Me did it pretty well, is the idea of combo building. I've seen a couple of playthroughs, not all the way each time, because I have other shit in my life I need to do, of God Hand, where it was a game where it had a lot of depth, where you could build really cool combos as you learned different moves that you're like, oh man, because of the frames of this one kick, I can immediately go into doing this uppercut. And I was just like, that is really cool. And I think it would have, if it was done to my insane specifications, it would be a thing where people could sit in a practice area for hours just building perfect combos. But I don't know.
I mean, that would be a good thing for people who like to build combos.
In a game about building combos, that would be very important to do. It would definitely be a game for a semi-specific sort of person. Where it's not just a game, but I feel like Dark Souls, when it came out, was for a specific sort of person.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it, because specific type of person games can end up being very lucrative. But
that's true.
When you make a game for everyone, you make a game for no one some of the times. Unless it's Mario. And then, because everyone loves the Mario. Except for people who apparently like the Mario and Luigi franchise, because that company just went bankrupt, and that makes me very sad. Because those are some of my favorite RPGs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of what are some other ones. I mean, like, the ones I always go to, I definitely play the Devil May Cries. A little bit of Bayonetta 1. I would say Vanquish is almost a spectacle fighter, but with guns. Because it's a lot of zipping and dodging along the ground. I'd also say, I guess, Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus was also a spectacle-ish fighter. But that one was not very good. Did you ever play it? Did you play Final Fantasy VII ever at all? I can't remember if you said you did.
No. I've been thinking about playing it at some point. I don't want to play the remake, because they're just making it another stupid fucking action RPG, aren't they?
No.
No?
But
is it staying turn-based?
But it has the turn-based thing you don't like.
Oh, the
Seven was one that had meters that filled up.
Does time like pause when a meter fills up though, or does it like keep going so that you have to be constantly like panic buttoning so that you're
I don't remember
staying on top of your meters? That's the thing. Like, I don't mind if there's meters. I just hate it if like
there's no like active pause.
Keep running. There's what?
If there's no sort of like pause thing to like queue up moves.
Yeah, exactly.
I
'Cause
don't
for me,
know.
like, the part that I like about a turn-based game is that I can just like think about what move I want to make, you know?
But the reason I was bringing it up is in Dirge of Cerberus, he plays the character Vincent Valentine. Which, did you play Kingdom Hearts?
Mm-mm.
That's fine. You're not missing anything. He's just like this
No.
vampire dude who uses a really edgelord gun and kicks people a whole bunch.
Hmm.
And it is a bad game. But I'm trying to think of some other ones. God of War, I would say 1, 2, and 3 have some spectacle fightery stuff. Hack and slash.
Hmm.
Because hack
Yeah,
and
it's
slash.
like a fine line between those two genres, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Man, that would be an interesting sort of paper to kind of do. Like, what's the true dividing line between them? But. So I definitely played a bunch of hack and slash games.
Hmm.
There's even like Kingdoms of Amalur that has definitely some moments where you can uppercut a dude into the sky and then, depending on your build, while they're in the sky, drop a meteor on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty neat.
I feel like maybe that's where I'm like weird with spectacle fighters is that I tend to play them like hack and slash games, only they're hack and slash games that look cooler than a normal hack and slash.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yep. Because I guess to me, when I think of spectacle character action games, there's way more of an emphasis on almost like the art of playing that game, where it's managing all of the combos that are possible, versus a hack and slash is just kill everyone in the room so you can move to the next room.
Yeah. And that's really what I want, is to kill everyone in the room, but also it looks cool while I'm doing it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, like, Yakuza can definitely be spectacle fightery when there's like fucking like the end of 3. There's a part where Kiryu is fighting 50 dudes at one time. And you're just kicking dudes into other dudes. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah. I definitely have not played an overabundance of character action games. But I do really want to play Bayonetta 1 and 2 and then Nier Automata, but the more I look into it, the more I hear the Nier Automata PC port is kind of a giant pile of garbage.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
And unless I got it for $10, I don't plan to buy it. And Evan just refuses to buy Bayonetta 1 and 2. He's like, oh man, I really want to get those. And I'm like, just get it, Evan. You have $1 million. Not really, but he's just like, I don't want to waste money right now. And I'm just like, you don't get to keep it at the end. You don't get bonus points when you die of having the most money. Unless you do. That would be crazy. I would be really pissed if I died and then at the end a big tally score came up and then it's like D rank and I'm like, no. How do you feel about scores at the end of spectacle fighter levels?
I mean, it doesn't bother me that they're there, but like I don't really care about them. Like I said, I kind of suck at playing them. I just like playing them. So like I'm not ever racking up a high score, and I don't have the patience to rack up a high score. But I'm glad it's there for people who do like that.
Mm-hmm. I know there's definitely been times where I felt like, man, I did really good. I got a good score, and then it's like C, and I'm like, oh, fuck you, game. I've had that happen a few times.
Yeah.
But then I've had the opposite happen where I was like, oh, I did all right, and the game's like A+, and I was like, oh, damn.
I feel like half of the posts on the Bayonetta subreddit are people just screenshotting their pure platinum runs.
I've never been to that subreddit. But yeah, that's about all I have for this. We're at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So, what are we watching next week?
I think we already know. We're watching Joker.
Yep.
Yep.
I forgot about that, actually, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I bought my ticket yesterday, so...
We bought our tickets. Because we're going to go see it Saturday. 2:30.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I was pretty psyched because it didn't look like anyone had bought any other seats in the theater.
Yeah, that's how it looked for us, too, when we were buying it. We were like, fuck, except for these 3 seats, everything else is open.
So yeah, I got the seat like dead in the middle.
I almost texted you because money's tight for me right now. Although today I did get a promotion at my job, so I got
Nice.
more money.
Congratulations.
My ceiling for spending money on a movie ticket was like $9.
Yeah.
And I found we have one theater around us where the matinee price was $7.75. But unless you were a part of their weird program, because you have to reserve your ticket, or unless you drive all the way down there first, you have to buy it online, is that there were so many online movie ticket fees that it brought the price of each ticket to $11. So I had the big message pulled up on my thing to be like, hey, can we not do Joker because money's tight and I'm just going to do it. Hey, it's Obama. Hey, Obama. I was going to be like, can we just do something else? And then Evan, and Will was just like, I can just get your ticket. I was like, Will, you're the best. So,
He's
cool.
A good guy.
We got Joker, which will be our first real movie that's relevant. I don't know.
Contemporary, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a movie that's supposed to be a real thought-provoking movie, so I'm interested if one of us is going to be like, this was a movie that speaks to the heart of the nihilism of America. And the other one's like, this movie was stupid.
We've done some other movies that I think were kind of thought-provoking.
I guess I'm not necessarily thought-provoking, but people might actually give some amount of shit. I don't know. No one cares about Halloween 3, except Mr. Perp and Obama. So we got that. Do you have a second topic you want to talk about?
I don't.
Me either. It's just but. And then that was my whole brain. Do you want to talk about the Epic Store?
Sure.
Just even more controversy, and then it's just
We can do that.
It's not.
I don't know if it'll be a big full conversation, but yeah, we can.
That's fine. All right, cool. We're just gonna have a big controversy with bad people next week.
I mean, we could make it broader and just talk about game storefronts in general.
That's true. We have all the stuff we can do because it's our podcast. No one can stop us. Unless we tell people to kill the president, and then the government could stop us. Because that's illegal.
That's illegal.
But
Can't be doing that.
So you think we're good to start closing out then for tonight?
I think so.
All right, then we will get a Raiden into Zero Gravity Theater, who hopefully will then raid us back tomorrow when we finish up Amnesia. And Will hopefully doesn't punch me in the face. I just wrote 0 punctuation theater. Have you gotten a response from from the homies about your decision in the text?
Yeah, and then I need to write another long text again. So.
Were they not happy with your answer?
I mean, they were like,
"Oh, look, I know you're eager."
The reason that she escaped today was because one of the gates was left open, and so we could bungee it closed, and then she won't escape again. But I know for a fact that it's possible for her to escape again, and I just don't want that responsibility.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I
But
guess I'll say to them if you want me to let her out, I can do that, but I can't catch her, so.
makes sense. But as far as responsibility goes now, we're going to toss the responsibility of keeping you entertained over to one of our friends at Zero Gravity Theater. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for stopping by, and hopefully you'll show up tomorrow. We're going to be playing a little bit later because we're going to hunt down a Popeye's chicken sandwich. And then we're going to play some Sonic. Bye. Oh god, it's so loud. Oh.
Calm it down, Raven. Calm it down.
He is in a chalice dungeon.
People, I see that freaking raid, my friend. Make sure. Listen, there's two people that just raided that are awesome.
I hated the chalice dungeons.
Good gaming with bad people. Both of who have. Oh my God! Both of these people have raided and host me all the time just by faith alone. They share their community. I would love to share my community with them. So please show them some love.
You can do it, Raven.
Tom, a prospector, is going to die. Yep, and I think that's going to be it for me. Styles Gaming, I appreciate you hosting. You guys are just incredible. So I feel like I can do this, but I just need to keep out of the. That's where I need to keep out of the front. And just little small attacks on the. Yeah.
Don't die, Raven. I'll be really embarrassed for you.
Okay.
Did you beat this chalice dungeon?
I shall.
Me?
Yeah.
I beat a lot of them. I don't know. This boss looks familiar. Looks like one I've.
He's like the boss of like the first or second chalice dungeon.
Yeah, I did a lot of the chalice dungeons, so probably then.
I know, right? Oh man, and all my echoes are down there.
Hmm.
All my echoes are down there. This is what Jared was talking about. I have no blood vials. I'm nowhere near what's his name in order to summon him. Am I? Oh yeah, I am. Okay, we can do this again. We can totally do this again. I just don't have any blood echoes. The problem is I can't heal. I only warn you out of experience, I feel you. My friend has been betrayed. Yeah, see the thing is, and if I leave and go to the hunter train, it's okay. Now it's at the point where I gotta be stupid careful. I thought I heard something. Have a rest of your stream, man. See you tomorrow. Good game with bad people. I feel. Are you about to go get something to eat, or are you about to go to sleep? Again, thank you again. It means a lot. Here we go. Where did my blood echoes drop? They didn't.
Alright, enough of that nonsense. Oh